What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to welcome you all to another edition of Wayne's Perspective, where we operate in discipline, decency, integrity, and respect. And I'm coming through with another video just for you. Before we get started, I hope everyone is doing okay out there, taking every day one day at a time and living life the best way you know how. As for me, y'all know how I do. I'm doing just fine over here, no major or minor complaints. I'm also taking every day one day at a time and living life the best way I know how as well. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and get started with today's video, which is going to be another reaction video courtesy of the Clay Kane Show. Shout out to him. He's also going to have Mrs. Reese Colbert on as a guest. Shout out to her. And what they're going to be talking about is the National Association of Black Journalists' decision to bring Donald Trump on as a guest. As I record this, it is July 31st, 2024. The conference with Trump was set for today at 12 p.m. And apparently there was some delay in the proceedings, and it did wrap up a few hours ago. And here we are. And I definitely couldn't wait to get on and talk about this. And speaking of talking, I'm definitely going to do that when I get to the Clay Kane video, where I'm going to offer my thoughts to what they said. And then at the end of my video, I'm going to continue with an article from the USA Today's website talking about what went down at that conference. And more than likely, I'm going to have some thoughts on that. A couple of other points I want to make before I bring up the Clay Kane video is that, number one, the black vote gains more prestige with each passing day, which is always a good thing. The second point that I want to make is regarding the Kamala Harris rally that I checked out yesterday. She was in Atlanta. I'm not sure if you all have checked out my recent video that I put up saying that I do support her to become the 47th president of the United States. But what I did not like or did not agree with was the inclusion of Meg Thee Stallion on the stage yesterday. You see, I had a notification set for when the rally started, and as soon as it started, she came up on the screen. And the first thing out my mouth was, oh, hell no. I'll admit she looked good in the blue, but keep that away from presidential campaigns. Just keep it away from politics in general. If you're going to have some performances, at least have Beyonce, even without the Freedom song. You can have Beyonce up there to bring a touch of class to the proceedings instead of a touch of ratchetness. You get what I'm saying? But I hope that was a one-off thing. I do not want to see her or any one of her ilk on Kamala Harris's campaign going forward, especially when you consider the stigma that's attached with her. It's not going to do anything but damage to the message that you're trying to put out there. And I'm all in for Kamala Harris. I do agree with the message. I like what she's doing. But keep the likes of Meg Thee Stallion away, okay? If that was a one-off thing, cool. But other than that, I don't want to see that again. And another point that I want to make before I do ultimately get started is that someone on TikTok today said that it's performative, just like when Trump has rappers at his rallies. And I do agree with that. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into this one right here. I'm going to start with the Clay Kane video. And again, shout out to him and shout out to Reese Colbert. Fair usage for the video. Fair usage. Let's go.
National Association of Black Journalists, founded back in 1975. Their convention is this week in Chicago, and they announced last night NABJ welcomes former U.S. President Donald J. Trump for a special conversation in Chicago. Will be moderated by Rachel Scott of NBC News.
I do want to make a correction right there. Rachel Scott is with ABC News, not NBC News. Just a correction right there.
Kadia Goba of Semaphore. I've never heard of Semaphore. Have you,
Yeah,
Reese? What is Semaphore?
I've heard of it. Mm-hmm.
That's like, isn't that like wasn't it founded by one of the folks at BuzzFeed or something?
I think
like
so.
That?
Yeah. I think Ben Smith. I think Mm-hmm.
And Harris Faulkner of Fox News. They reportedly invited him previously, and he always declined. And he said, yes, this time around.
Okay. Y'all see that? They offered him to come in the past, but he declined. So why did he choose now to come? It's obvious why he chose to come this time around. You see, previously, he had no interest in doing any kind of black media, but when there's a campaign to run and an election to try to win, and of course, we can't forget about the obligatory photo op, that's when things change. Let's keep it moving.
There's been a lot of backlash to this, especially from members. And Karen, I could be saying her last name wrong, forgive me. Atia, she posted on X that she will step down as co-chair from this year's NABJ 24 convention in Chicago. She said, to the journalists interviewing Trump, I wish them the best of luck. For everyone else, I'm looking forward to meeting and reconnecting with all of you in the Windy City. Roland Martin said that it's an abomination that they are allowing Harris Faulkner to interview Trump. So, couple of thoughts here. I covered this in my book, actually. I believe it was 2016, I believe it was, when Omarosa was on a panel at NABJ. Nicole Hannah-Jones was supposed to host the panel, and she stepped down when she heard that Omarosa was going to be there. And it was a panel on gun violence. Omarosa, I believe, lost a member of her family to gun violence. Ed Gordon stepped in, and it was a disaster. People were standing up and turning their backs. She reportedly cornered Simone Sanders for criticizing her publicly. It was a train wreck. It was bizarre. And this was really Omarosa at the peak of her grift.
Omarosa, bless her heart. And remember, this is the same woman who arrogantly said everyone is going to have to bow to Trump. I may be paraphrasing a bit, but that's the gist of what she said. And what did that level of going hard in the red paint get her? In my Nas voice, I think we all know the answer to that. And let me guess, she was just playing, right? Because everything is a damn joke, like I always say on this channel, y'all. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So a couple of things here. I understand that he's the presumptive. I mean, he is the Republican nominee for president.
Yeah.
I get that. But this is somebody who has attacked black media, who has attacked black journalists, who, according to Project 2025, Chapter 8, basically wants to have state-run media, right? This is somebody who is a convicted felon. This is somebody who led the racist birther movement. This is somebody who still says the Central Park Five are guilty when Yusef Salaam is now on the city council in Harlem. I don't know what the benefit is of platforming him.
Let me stop it right there. Of course, everything that he just said is a fact. Y'all can go check that for yourselves if you haven't done so already. You see, there are no benefits to platforming Trump. You see, all of that seemingly goes away if there seems to be something to be gained, or in this case, the thinking might be, well, he's threatening everyone else, not us, which still doesn't make it right or acceptable at the very least.
I really don't know what the benefit of that is. I get that he is the nominee. I understand that, but I don't know. Would SNCC platform Barry Goldwater in 1964?
Hell no.
I mean, I would argue that Trump is even more dangerous than a Barry Goldwater. So I don't really get that. But maybe there could be an argument to be made that he's the nominee, right? But then there is the narrative, and I've covered this so much, Reese, that Trump is getting black male voters.
Yeah.
He's getting black men. So I'm curious why there isn't a black male journalist there, because the narrative is that he's getting all these black men, Black men are falling in droves for him. So I'm perplexed why, I don't know, Roland Martin, the legendary Ed Gordon, who just interviewed Biden, why there isn't one black male journalist there.
Well, I can answer that. It's simple. They don't want black men at the table. It's that simple, y'all.
Yeah.
Then thirdly, Harris Faulkner. She can do what she wants. Fine. Whatever the case may be. Harris Faulkner works at Fox News. In my opinion, she has defended their racist actions. She has made some ludicrous comments about Biden, about Hillary Clinton. I know they say she is a journalist. I don't see her as being a journalist. I've seen her give her opinion constantly. And in my opinion, the role that she plays in Fox News is despicable.
Yeah.
So this makes it feel, to use one of your favorite words, Reese, unserious. But I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. But I feel like it's unfortunate. And I guess I don't know her exact title there. One of the co-chairs, and she deleted one of her tweets. Now I can't find it. She has been clapping back on social media, and I don't have her name.
So you're talking about Tia Mitchell? Tia Report?
Tia Mitchell, thank you. She has every right to clap back.
Yeah.
But members who pay dues have every right to clap back as well. So, and lastly, I'll say, if they do this interview, for Rachel Scott and Kadia Goba, with Harris Faulkner, it doesn't matter. And I have no proof of this. I would argue that, was there an agreement for her to be there? It's just bizarre to me that Harris Faulkner is there. But if you're going to do this interview, then you have to fact check him every single question.
And that's a good point. And I want to make this point on Harris Faulkner. Personally, I don't think there was no agreement for her to be there. I think that Trump or someone for his team probably made the suggestion or recommendation, and they went right along with it. And of course, they probably won't fact check him because they don't want to come off as, quote unquote, being too hard on him. But I thought he was such a strong man who could say or do no wrong, right? Right, I got it. But speaking of which, when we get to that USA Today article, we shall see if they fact checked him in real time or not. We'll see.
And your first question should be, Mr. Trump, in 2019, you doubled down that the Central Park Five are guilty. Would you like to apologize? Second question should be, for years, you said that President Barack Obama wasn't born in this country. You said let it go, but would you like to apologize in front of all these black journalists? I would love for those two to be the first two questions. Trump released a statement. He was already lying in the statement. So if you don't want to ask those questions, and the Central Park Five question, if you don't ask that question, that's just egregious.
Yeah.
That is media malpractice. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Then you should fact check his statement. I want to know, what is a black job to you? You keep taking credit for the HBCU bill. I would even ask him, what's the name of the bill? I doubt he could say it, because Alma Adams wrote the bill, right? So basically, you would have to have a, however long this would be, a fact-checking session, because he has lied so much. But I don't know. I mean, he is the nominee. Should NABJ have Trump there, and with Harris Faulkner as a moderator? 866-801-8255. Reese Colbert, your thoughts?
Well, I think, first of all, I'm skeptical he'll show up. That's number one. But number two, the point is to get the photo. The point isn't anything that he's going to say. The point for him is not anything that they're going to ask him. It's for him to say that he was there and to be in a room full of black people. that's all the point for him. Whatever happens from the point where he steps on stage and gets a damn picture is completely beside the point to him. So I think that just even giving him that is a win for him. It's a win for the optics for him. People don't pay attention to the substance. So I think that they've already given too much by even giving him the ability to be in that room. Harris Faulkner definitely makes it unserious. I don't know the format of the interview. I mean, 3 people interviewing him already sound a little strange to me anyway.
That's odd, right?
Yeah, I think that's a little odd to your point. Where's a Black man on the panel? If you're gonna have 3 people, one should be a Black man at least. So it just seems like, I mean, they probably just, as a custom, extend the invitation knowing that they're gonna get rejected. And then he was like, oh yeah, I'll come. And they're like, oh shit. But I just don't think that it necessarily moves the needle forward for the Black community to have him speak in this forum, particularly the way that he has attacked Black journalism, the way he's attacked the media, period. And he's not going to
attack Black journalists like April Ryan.
Yeah, he's.
I mean, I could go down the list.
Yeah, very, very demeaning. Yamisha Sendor, all kinds of people. He's just been very hostile, to Black people. So, I mean, I feel like they got dragged and they still standing on business. I guess they're gonna keep it going. So we'll see. But I think it doesn't do a lot to inspire confidence in the organization that they have lended their platform to Donald Trump. He does not honor it. He's not going to be truthful. And so you've given him a win that is not warranted because all he needs is the picture. That's it. That's it.
Right. That's right. And then what's interesting too is that this is happening, I believe, the same day as where the service for Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee. So the next sentence has been, well, where is Vice President Kamala Harris? Well, she is obviously going to be at the service.
She's doing the eulogy for
the eulogy. Thank you so much for Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee, who passed away. So it puts her in an odd space because she can't not go to that, right? I mean,
no, of course
she has to go to that service. So now I'm seeing people, the grifters. Well, where is she? Well, she was there in 2021. I mean, it just creates.
She also wasn't the nominee when I'm sure all this stuff happened. The only reason why
reportedly Joe Biden did accept. Reportedly, I don't know.
I'm sure he did,
but now he's no longer the nominee.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump, when he think about y'all Black asses, he was president for 4 years. Remember that? And he was running for president for another 2 years before that. When has he ever sat down with Black journalists? The only reason why he's doing it now is because Vice President Kamala Harris is a Black woman running for the nomination. And so he has to at least put up some small semblance of giving a damn about Black voters. And all he's going to get out of it that he cares about is a damn photo op. And it doesn't even matter. And if they beat up on him, oh, look at the Black people, ungrateful.
But Harris Faulkner's there,
yeah.
They ain't gonna, she's going to provide cover.
And when has Harris Faulkner been at NABJ? I don't know. Maybe she has. I'm asking in sincerity.
She's been there before.
She has. Okay, well, good, good. So she should know how to conduct herself in there. But there's a lot of pressure on them now. So if they thought that this was going to be just a little feather in their cap, people are gonna be on their ass on how they conduct this interview.
And the other thing is, they're getting this backlash, and some of the response, Tia Mitchell, one of her tweets said, we gathered together some badass journalists.
Okay.
Harris Faulkner was a badass journalist?
Yeah.
The response to them is, their response rather to this has been a bit strange when, what does it mean if your members say, don't do this?
Yeah.
Do you retract the invitation? So I don't know.
Well, when Trump is in the mix, apparently everything the members say is null and void. That's just what it seems like to me, y'all.
They don't seem to be that concerned. They're telling people go to hell, basically. So I guess we'll see how that works out for them. But this is, sometimes when you have organizations and institutions, when they lose credibility because of stuff like this. So it's just like,
I'm sorry, Tia Mitchell. Correction. It's not that she deleted her tweet. These posts are protected, so you can't see them.
So she went private.
I don't know Tia Mitchell. I'm not attacking her. I'm just pointing out what she posted there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't, and I get the perspective that, well, he is running for president of the United States, but we have to. That's part of the issue that folks made in 2016 was normalizing him. This man cannot be normalized. This man is dangerous to media, to black women, in my opinion.
Yes.
And I agree with that as well. And let me talk about that a little bit, y'all. So the continued attempts to try to normalize the likes of Donald Trump befuddles the hell out of me. I don't understand it. And it definitely was on full display when he was president. Let me take y'all back on this, y'all. And I'm sure I talked about this on my channel in previous videos. Remember 2017, after the State of the Union address, when Van Jones went on CNN talking about he became president with that speech? Y'all remember that? And also, speaking of CNN, I've talked about this a lot in the past. There was the time when he went on his first foreign trip. And I believe this was in either March or April of 2017. And I believe the reporter at the time on CNN was Sarah Murray, and they were covering it. Now, I can't recall if this was before Bob Mueller was appointed special counsel or if it was afterwards. But I do remember her asking in a real cheerful voice, maybe this will be a reset for President Trump. And it's like, every time something happened, they were always asking, is this going to be a reset? Is he going to change? Is he going to start acting like a president? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? I mean, every time he did something remotely decent, the media would trip all over themselves to give him credit for something, anything. And remember when he went to either it was John McCain's funeral or President George H.W. Bush's funeral, and the talk in the media was regarding how he was going to act. And really, you should not be saying that regarding a sitting president, because one would think that a sitting president should know how to conduct himself at a funeral, y'all. But the talk at the time was, how's Trump going to act? How's he going to conduct himself at the funeral? Man, please. I just wanted to make those points, y'all. Let's continue on.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Well, I want them to ask, is America a racist country? I want them to ask, do you support reparations? Ask him all the shit that y'all ask the black politicians, and you ride the black politicians' ass all day about their black agenda. What are you going to do specifically for black people? Do you support X, Y, and Z black, yada, 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 neon black shit? But y'all never have the same energy for the Republicans. I've never heard Donald Trump be asked if he supports reparations. I'm sure the answer is no. So make sure that all the shit that y'all always ask every black politician, that you ask Donald Trump's ass. Okay. If you don't do that, if you don't ask him about the black shit and make him be specific, then don't bother the black people with it, because I get sick of that. They never ask the same question of Republicans that they ask of Democrats.
This is the part that I couldn't wait to get to, and she is 100% correct in everything that she just said. This part right here is where I specifically want to call out a few people on my channel, but I'm not going to do that because, again, we operate in discipline, decency, integrity, and respect over here. So I'm not going to call anyone out. But the point that Reese made regarding them giving the black politicians so much smoke, but ease back on the Republicans, yes, that's been happening for quite some time now. And it's on full display for everybody to see. I've always seen that. I understand the point of being harder on the Democrats because the Democrats are closely associated with the black community. I get that. But like I've said many times on my channel, everyone should be doing more. The Democrats, the Republicans, and the independents. The moment a black politician gives an unsatisfactory answer, then we get into the I'm voting the couch bullshit. and being subject to seeing people openly celebrate the fact that they're not voting. Oh, and it's very interesting to me that we've seen the same people who would say that the bill that Biden signed making Juneteenth a holiday meant nothing or was first degree pandering. But if it was signed under a Republican president, then these same people would celebrate it and proudly throw their fists in the air saying such and such is riding with the Black community. You can't make this up, y'all.
Especially when it comes to Black issues. They only ask Black people this, then they want to drag Black people when they get the answer that's more PC or more rising tide lift all boats. But they never hold the Republicans to the same accountability.
Yeah. I mean,
and I don't want to hear Trump plotting and planning and no bullshit. Make sure you fact check all that stuff too.
Ask him 3 Black people who would be in his administration. I would love that.
That's a good one.
Name three black folks who would be in your administration.
Name one Black woman.
Right. One of your surrogates, Byron Donald, said the Black family was together during Jim Crow. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree, according to Tim Scott, that welfare is destroying the Black family? Do you agree with that? And if he says yes, then give him the stats on welfare. That the majority of people, even per capita, who are on welfare happen to be white. I mean, it should be a list of, for every time he didn't have any fact checking in his interviews, fact check, fact check, fact check. That's what it should be. So maybe it'll happen.
All right. So again, shout out to Clay Kane and shout out to Reese Colbert for their contribution. Everything that they said, I pretty much agree with. And on that note, we're going to move to the next part of this video. Like I said, this is going to be the USA Today article talking about what went down at this convention today. And we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Here we go. Trump questions Kamala Harris's racial identity at NABJ, says she happened to turn Black. Rebecca Morin, Deborah Barfield-Berry, and Terry Collins, credit to them for this article. Republican 2024 presidential nominee Donald Trump, in a controversial and combative appearance at the National Association of Black Journalists annual convention, took swipes on Wednesday at Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity, a move that comes as excitement swells for the Democratic contender. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black, the former president said of Harris, who is on track to face Trump as the Democratic presidential nominee. Is she Indian or is she Black? Because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she went and became a Black person. Oh my goodness. Trump sat for the 30-minute wide-ranging Q&A where he touched on a number of key issues important to the Black community, such as Sonia Massey, the Black woman who was fatally shot in the face by an Illinois sheriff's deputy earlier this month, abortion access, and why he chose Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio as his running mate. The former president's appearance at NABJ sparked widespread backlash from some of those attending the convention, expressing an array of concerns over Trump's comments about the Black community and attacks against the media. For Trump, his remarks came at a critical inflection point of his 2024 campaign as Democrats expressed increasing optimism about their chances of holding the White House in November, with Harris atop of the ticket, while the Republican continues pressing to court key constituencies, including Black voters. Throughout Wednesday's conversation, Trump was met with some boos, groans, and heckling. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who was hosting a White House press briefing at the same time as Trump's Q&A, called Trump's comments about Harris repulsive. Wow, Jean-Pierre said when she was read Trump's comments on Harris's race, what you just read out to me is repulsive. It's insulting. No one has the right to tell someone who they are, how they identify. Trump accused Harris of being a DEI candidate, a talking point by many conservatives using the acronym for diversity, equity, and inclusion to disqualify people of color or women who ascend to positions of power and influence. Harris, who is Black and of South Asian descent, attended Howard University, a historically Black college. She is also the first female vice president in U.S. history and the first black woman to hold the office, too. Shortly after the panel ended, Trump on Truth Social doubled down on his attack against Harris's racial identity, sharing a video where she is cooking with actress Mindy Kaling, who is of South Asian descent. During the video, Harris and Kaling talk about their Indian culture. Harris in the video told Kaling that she looks like the entire one half of my family. Harris for President Communications Director Michael Tyler criticized Trump's comments as hostile and called on the former president to accept the debate against Harris. Trump lobbed personal attacks and insults at black journalists the same way he did throughout his presidency, while he failed black families and left the entire country digging out of the ditch he left us in, Tyler said in a statement. Donald Trump has already proven he cannot unite America, so he attempts to divide us. Trump talks about Sonia Massey but doesn't say her name. To gasp, says, "You're talking about the water, right?" Trump was met with loud gasps from the room when he said he was unfamiliar with the details of the Massey shooting, which sparked outrage, saying he doesn't know the exact case, but I saw something when asked about the case. It didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me, Trump said. You're talking with the water, right? Massey was shot by police while she was holding boiling water. Wow. Trump has previously said that police should get immunity from prosecution if he won the 2024 presidential race. Gober asks whether the police officer in Massey's case, Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean P. Grayson, who is charged with her murder, will have immunity. Trump sidestepped the question by talking about gun violence in Chicago. Of course he did. That ain't no surprise. When asked again by Golder, Trump said that he would help a person who made an innocent mistake. If I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job, maybe with a crime or made a mistake, an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person, Trump said. The former president also doubled down on comments he made accusing immigrants of stealing the jobs of Black Americans. I would tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking Black jobs, Trump said to gasp. What exactly is a Black job, sir? Scott quickly followed up. That's a good-ass follow-up question. Let's see what he says. A Black job is anybody that has a job, Trump responded with laughter from the audience before continuing to use racist rhetoric against migrants coming to the United States. Because, again, everything is a damn joke to these people. And I'm not talking about the audience. Attacks on the media. Throughout the panel, Trump repeatedly attacked the press and ABC News senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott in particular for questions that were being asked. Trump, in the very first question to him by Scott, slammed her for asking why Black voters should support the former president after his criticisms of the Black community. I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner, Trump said to Scott. Don't even say hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network. His go-to. Scott, Fox News anchor Harris Faulkner, and Semaphore political reporter Kadia Gober led the Q&A with Trump. PolitiFact, a fact-checking website, also led fact-checking Trump in real time for NABJ. Hundreds packed into a ballroom at the Hilton Chicago, which holds up to 1,100 seated, according to a hotel employee. Dozens of reporters were outside of the hotel lining up to get into the event with the former president. On Wednesday, NABJ announced that the organization was speaking with the Harris campaign to have her appear for a Q&A with the organization sometime in September. Harris on Wednesday is scheduled to be in Houston, Texas to deliver remarks for a political event. On Thursday, which is tomorrow, she would deliver a eulogy for the late Representative Sheila Jackson Lee in Houston. Trump, throughout the presidential campaign, has attempted to appeal to Black voters, a key voting bloc that overwhelmingly supports the Democratic Party. But the former president is still unpopular with many Black voters. President Joe Biden, who dropped out of the 2024 presidential campaign earlier this month, saw a drop in enthusiasm from Black voters, but Harris, who is on the path to be the Democratic nominee, has re-energized Democratic voters, including Black voters, since entering the race. Ahead of his appearance, Trump on Truth Social criticized Harris for not speaking at the convention. The Harris campaign, in response to the former president's conversation at the convention, criticized his record and his treatment of the press. NABJ President Ken Lemon said Wednesday that the organization had been in talks with both the Democratic and Republican parties since January, when Biden was still running to be the Democratic nominee. Biden had agreed to speak when he was still a candidate. At the White House, John Pierre said Tuesday that Biden wouldn't be speaking at the NABJ convention because he is no longer a candidate. We understand the importance of Black Americans to hear directly from this administration, and we have done that. And not just Black Americans, but all Americans, John Pierre said. That is certainly something that we will continue to do, and we take that very, very seriously. All right, so that's the end of the article there. My final thoughts are as follows. That convention went the way that I expected that it would. He continued to do himself no favors with the Black community. And to my people, I ask you, did this make you more or less likely to vote for him in November? And that's why I end things right there. So if you like what you heard and you're ready to become part of Team Discipline, go ahead and hit that like button and drop some comments if you're feeling the content. Definitely let me know what you think about all of this. And last but not least, hit that subscribe button along with the bell so you're notified when I drop new videos. And until next time, my people, take care of yourselves. And remember, the power of the mind is valuable.